Would you consider talking a little bit more in depth about 401ks and 403bs or any similar retirement plans on a podcast episode in the future? I specifically wanted to hear more about things like true-ups, vesting, and if there's any tips on keeping track of your contributions across multiple 401ks. I've listened to just about every podcast now, and you've only talked about contribution limits for multiple 401ks or a solo plus an employer 401k, choosing investment options, traditional versus Roth versus mega backdoor. There's nothing about the nuances themselves. I realize these can be planned and employer specific, but I'd appreciate it if you could take a minute or two to shed some light on these. As an example of a possible question, if you quit a job after 1 year, but employer contributions aren't 100% vested until 3 years, can you leave the money for 2 more years to get 100% of that employer contribution, or does that all end as soon as you quit? So you're stuck with just 33% of that contribution. My company's retirement plan contacts are useless in answering questions like this. I think true-ups are especially confusing and would appreciate any help with those on the podcast. Okay, so let's talk about 401ks and 403bs. All right, vesting, okay? A vesting plan, why this feature that's in some 401ks is basically a way to put golden handcuffs on employees to get them to stay at the company longer than they otherwise would. For example, it might be phrased that your employer match does not vest until you've been at the company 5 years. So that means if you leave the company anytime before you've been there 5 years, all the match that you got on your contributions get taken back by the company. So that's a bad thing, obviously, right? You thought you were getting all this money and you really weren't because you didn't stay there. And so you need to understand vesting rules, especially when it comes time to leave a company. Now, if the company doesn't give you a match anyway, who cares, right? And for lots of high-income professionals, you're highly compensated employees, and they don't give you a match anyway, right? Or if you are in a partnership, with a 401k profit sharing plan, it's probably all your money doing the match anyway. So if the money goes back to the employer, it's coming back to you, no big deal. So those plans typically are not written with a vesting schedule. And that's like my plan at my partnership. We don't have a vesting schedule. Whatever you put in there, you get to keep when you leave. Vesting does not affect your contributions. The money you put in there from your paycheck, you get to keep no matter when you leave. That's your money. The vesting refers to the match. And you need to understand the rules in your 401k. It may be worth staying at the employer for another month, for example, to make sure you get what is vested. So your possible question, if you quit a job after 1 year, but employer contributions aren't vested until 3 years, can you leave the money for 2 more years? No, they don't want you to leave your money in the 401k. They want you to stay in the job. That's the point of it. And so, no, you can't just leave your money there and try to get the match. They're going to take the match back, at least whatever portion is not vested. Now, if it vests 33% a year, then you get to keep 33% after you leave a year. If it's 0% vested until 3 years, then you don't get any of the match if you leave after 1 year. That's just the way it works. Okay, true-ups. What true-ups are a way to fix a problem that some 401ks have. Some 401ks are set up such that they will only match a certain amount per month. So if you don't put the same exact contribution in each month of the year, you may get shafted and not receive some of the match. So you need to ask, how does the match work? And it's sad in this doc's case that the HR can't answer even basic questions like this, but you need to figure out how your match works. If your match is limited to a small amount, $200 a month or however it might be limited, then you need to make sure you contribute every month to get that $200 a month or whatever it is. But if the plan has true-ups, what that means is at the end of the year, they go back and they look at everything you contributed. And if you can contribute enough to get the entire match, then you get the entire match. They true it up at the end of the year and contribute anything that they should have but didn't. So true-ups are a good thing. You want to understand how your match works, and if it's kind of squirrely like that, and if you max it all out by April, they won't give you your entire match. You want to ask about true-ups. And if there are no true-ups and you got some squirrely way they do the match, then you better make sure your contributions just trickle in during the year to make sure you get the entire match, or you'll be leaving part of your salary on the table. If you want your questions answered by the White Coat Investor, record your question at whitecoatinvestor.com/YQA or click the link in the description.